When stitching a panorama together, one of the most important things to do, first of all, is to have really good pictures to work from. So when you are taking pictures for this assignment, make sure you're taking them of someplace far away. Have some distance between you and your subject. Otherwise it's going to be really tough to do with angles and things. And also make sure they have a nice amount of overlap. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start by opening my three photos that I'm going to stitch together. And once all three of them are opened, I'm going to find my farthest left one. Doesn't really matter what you start with, but I'm going to go ahead and start with the farthest left picture. And what I want to do is increase the area that I have to work with so I can put all three pictures onto one photo. So the way I'm going to do that is go to Image, Canvas Size. And the first thing you need to make sure is that this chain right here is unlinked, like it is right now. If it would be linked, then you wouldn't be able to extend the width of your picture without extending the height as well. So you want to unlink the width and the height. Okay, so I have three pictures. The width on this one is just over 3,000. So I'm going to basically triple the width so I can fit all three in for sure. It doesn't have to be exact right now because you can crop it later. So I'm going to make it 10,000. That's there we go, 10,000. And I'm going to make the height about 3,000 just so I have a little extra room to work with. Okay, now you can see down here on the preview window that's what it's going to look like. I'm going to center this vertically so I have a little extra on the top and the bottom to work with. I'm going to go ahead and hit resize. Now the next thing I need to do is bring in my second photo, which is this one. So I'm going to pull this up, edit, copy, get rid of that, and then edit, paste. Okay, now that's going to paste right over top of the first one, so I need to move it over a little bit. In order to do that, I should probably zoom out a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. And because I just pasted that in, I really need to make it a new layer. So the first thing you need to do whenever you paste something in is to make it a new layer. So we're going to go layer to new layer. Okay, and now over here on the layers palette I can see that I have my original at the bottom and my pasted layer is right over top of it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I have the move tool selected, this move tool, and I'm going to move this over to the right. Now right now you can see that because this file is so incredibly large, it's going to be really difficult to work with because it takes so long to refresh every time you move it. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and bring in the third photo and then we're going to resize it. So edit, copy, that one. Edit, paste. Now we need to make this a new layer as well, otherwise it's going to paste right over top of the other layer. So layer to new layer. Okay, go ahead and slide that one over a little ways. And again, it's taking so long to refresh itself that it's going to be very difficult to do any work. So at this point, what we're going to do is go to Image, and instead of going to Canvas Size this time, we want to actually go to Scale Image so we can scale the whole thing evenly. So right now it's at 10,000 by 3,000. We want to move that down to probably about let's try 4,000. And now if I move that, these are linked together, so now that went to 4,000 by 1,200. Okay, so let's go ahead and scale that, and it will shrink quite a bit, which will allow us to see it a little better. But I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so I can work with it a little easier. Okay, so now this should move around a lot nicer. And you can see that it does. I want to go back and select my second layer. So I'm going to go back to the layer palette here, select that. And if I want to name my layers, make it easier, I should be able to just, a slow double click there. And I'm going to make this one left. It didn't change. Probably because it's the original image. But just something handy if you ever want to do that. We'll call this one middle, see if it works. That didn't work either. Okay, never mind. So I'm going to move this one first into position, get it as closely matched up to the other one as I can. And one thing that might help me, if I take my opacity down, now I can see through it a little bit. And kind of match it up a little easier. Okay, and then we'll bring that opacity right back up to 100. Now my third one, I'm going to do my best to line that up. Things don't always line up perfectly, which we need to fix in the next step. Okay, now at this point what you'd want to do is, working with all three layers, make sure they all kind of look similar in terms of brightness and contrast and color. So going back to the first assignment that you did, you want to pick the one that looks the best. I'm going to say my third one looks the best in terms of nice greens, and I'm going to try to match every other one to that. So I want these greens to look like these greens. So I'm going to go to colors and go to brightness contrast. See if I can get it a little bit closer. Up both the brightness and contrast a little bit. And back down just a bit. That looks pretty good. Say OK. Go to our original. Do the same thing. And call that good for now. Okay, now as you can see, there exists quite a bit of a line between the pictures. So what we want to do is kind of peel that back. So I'm going to start by working on the middle layer, and because that's over top of the first layer. So I'm going to get my eraser, and I'm going to make it a pretty big brush. So I want to make my size about maybe a little bit smaller. About in that range should be good. I want it to be a fuzzy brush, which it is. So it's got nice fuzzy edges. And then what I'm going to do is just start to peel back my second layer a little bit until things match up a little better. And when you have something like trees with a texture, it makes it a lot easier. And water has sort of a repeated texture too. It helps. Okay, so that looks pretty good on that one. And I'm not going to go ahead and do this one because you can figure that out as well. But what I would do, once I have that as good as I can get it, Let's go to Layer, Image, and Flatten Image. That gets rid of all the layers. Now they're all on one layer. At that point I would zoom in to this section that I just worked on and use my clone brush, use my smudge brush, use anything else to really just kind of fine-tune things. And then the last step is going to be to take your rectangular selection tool and select as much as you can without getting any white space, and go to Image, Crop to Selection. And then if I had worked on this part, this would probably look pretty good.